Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate team, welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. It is April the 9th, 2022, and we are live here at Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130, every Saturday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mr. Overson, Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering of the We Team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus, and I'm Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Live again every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., wherever you might be catching us on social media. Thank you for joining us. Your comments, questions, thoughts are always welcome. It's a fun discussion, a lively discussion. We talk about everything real estate, mortgage related. Today, it's tax season. We've got Corey Schmiedeberg here, going to be talking a little bit regarding tax stuff, Midwest Money Management. Brad, awesome Farmers insurance agent. We're going to be talking a little bit about insurance, all kinds of stuff going on. Scott, good morning to you. You have left your TV. It is golf season. It's the Masters season, and rarely do you come up for air, Scott. But you have come up for air. You still look human here. So
yeah, no, it is definitely right. This is the 4 days of the year that I do not leave the house. So, and actually can barely sleep at night because I'm so excited for it to start in the morning. But yeah, welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Like Ryan said, if this is the first time you're catching us, we appreciate it. If you're a return visitor, welcome back. 612-294-6949 is how you can join the discussion during the show. You can also text us at that number, 612-294-6949. With any questions you have, or if you're following us on Facebook, which everybody obviously right now is, you can just type in your question and we'll handle it as it comes.
Yeah, really. Throughout the year, again, if you have questions about buying a home, selling a home, looking for a market analysis, an update, we've got a great agent on the Minnesota Real Estate team that would love to help you. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out. There's no obligation with that. Maybe you're just curious about your home value, wondering where it is with the recent rise in prices. We've got a top agent on the team all throughout the Twin Cities area, within a couple hours of the Twin Cities area, all directions. So please don't ever hesitate to visit mnrealestateshow.com. Mike, interest rates have risen considerably. We're going to talk about that in the first segment, but you also have come up for air.
A little bit.
Away from his computer and pre-approval letters.
These last few weeks have definitely been crazy.
Oh, here we go. We're going live on air. Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope the weekend is going well for you. It is April the 9th. Here, 2022, we're live at Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130, every Saturday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering of the We Team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus, and I'm Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus. We thank you for joining us, whether you're catching us on social media or you are tuning in to the show, Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130. Every Saturday, we're here from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., talking all things real estate, mortgage related. Welcome your questions, comments, and thoughts. 612-294-6949. You can call us or text us at that number. There's a lot going on in the market, and always, again, welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. Mike and Scott, good morning to you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good to be here. Welcome everybody tuning in. We should talk about the two biggest items though that are not real estate related. The Masters is going on this week.
You've come up for air.
Yeah, I've come up for air for this show and this show only. And Will Smith got banned from the Oscars for 10 years, which was a beautiful thing.
You know, Scott has come up for air. It is golf season, and Mike, it's you can't get a hold of Scott only if it's, of course, a client reaching out to him. During this time period, he rarely comes up for air. But Scott, it's good to see you. You look human.
I'm very rested. Yeah, for sure.
Mike, good morning to you there, buddy.
Hey, good morning, Ryan.
What's going on?
Well, what's more exciting, the Masters or tax season?
Right.
Right? It's kind of a toss up if you ask me. It's a close, and that's why Corey is here going to talk to us about some tax stuff. And I know everyone is glued to the radio because it is exciting.
It's very exciting.
Tax season it is. We do, again, if you're tuning in, you're catching part of the show, you're driving out and about, 612-294-6949, questions, comments, thoughts, a lot going on in the market. Scott, people can also join us through mnrealestateshow.com.
That's right. Yeah. And if you haven't been there before, it's a great website. Tells you a little bit about the team. Obviously, it also talks about all of our great partners. We've got 2 super ones on the show here today. But whatever you're looking for, whether it's an accountant, whether it's an insurance agent, whether it's an attorney, whether you want to have siding put on your house, I mean, anything. It's kind of the best of the best of the industry. These people have been with us for years and years on the show and are truly great. So definitely check them out. If you are looking at selling or buying, obviously that's what we do for a living. We do the radio show for fun, and would love to help you out. You can go to mnrealestateshow.com, fill out the online market analysis. An expert agent on the team that kind of specializes in your area will do a full analysis for you, tell you what it's worth. And if you are looking at buying, you can also email Ryan and I directly at a button called Ask the Big Brains.
Yeah, great stuff. Fun show. Here to provide good information about the market itself. Got to dive in. Market update, first segment. Mike, mortgage interest rates. It's been a wild year. It's been 2022 has been a wild year.
It has, just basically since the first of the year, they've just slid, up and up and up. And we ended yesterday, most of the people I was quoting 5 and 5.125 on 30-year fix yesterday. Scott and I have a real estate investor client who's buying a property, putting 25% down. He locked in at 6, 6% flat on a 30-year fix on an investment property. So, that's the new norm. That's where we're at. If you look since the year 2000, average interest rates on a 30-year fix since year 2000 are still around 6.5, 6.75. So we're still underneath the average since 2000. Everyone compares it to the last 2 years, which is an unfair comparison because we've never seen that in history. We'll probably never see it again in history.
Well, not unless we get another huge strain that hits us.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, COVID was the best thing for interest rates that ever happened.
Right. So, take it as it is. Yeah, everyone kind of, not everyone, but a lot of people compare it to the last 2 years. But you can't make that comparison when you're a home buyer now. The comparison is do I buy today or do I sign another 12-month lease and buy next year?
Mm-hmm.
That's the real question you got to ask yourself now, because I truly believe if you wait, home prices are going to continue to go up. So I think you're going to pay more for that same house next year at this point. And who knows what happens with interest rates? They could continue to slide up. There could be a recession. They could slide down. Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine at this point.
We had a text message question come in again. You can text us at 612-294-6949. Tabitha texted in saying she's hearing a lot of people talk about 5-1, 7-1, 10-1 ARMs in order to be able to get the lower interest rates. Mike?
Yeah, we don't call them ARMs anymore.
I do.
You don't call them ARMs?
No. And here's why. Because everyone thinks it was the adjustable rate mortgages back in 2007 that caused the crash, right? So we call them hybrid fixed loans.
Hybrid fixed.
And what does that mean, Mike? Well, that means that your rate is going to be fixed for a certain period of time, and then it's going to adjust with the market after that. So it's not an adjustable rate mortgage; it's a hybrid fixed. It's just
actually is a better way to describe it, because when people hear ARMs, they think it can change on them monthly. They can always go up, always go down. And these are fixed. They're fixed loans. They're just fixed for 5 years or 7 years. And if you've listened to the show for the last 15, 20 years, you'll know I'm a big fan of it, because the average homeowner stays in their home for 5 years. So why in the world would 99% of the loans be 30-year fixed?
Right.
When that's the reality, 5 years. So why wouldn't you get a break in your interest rate, on a 7-1 ARM, and build more equity, pay off more on your principal?
Right.
But no one does them.
Yeah.
So what's the difference in interest rates? So current interest rates now on a 30-year are what?
So I literally locked 2 7-1 hybrid fixed loans last week.
Okay.
And I don't remember the last time I even locked 2 arm loans in a year, to be honest with you. Then all of a sudden I had 2 in 1 week. So that one particular gentleman, he was at 4.875 on a 30-year fixed. And if he went to the 7-1 hybrid fixed, he was at 4.125. So
Wow.
it's a 3/4 point difference in interest rate. And he saw the same thing I was, is like, he's buying up into the $600,000 price range. It's going to be a house he's probably going to be there for a while, but he sees the writing on the wall too with what's happening with our economy to say, I think within 7 years, I'm refinancing to a 30-year fix. I think we're going to hit a recession. Rates are going to float down back into the 3s somewhere. And then at that point, I'll refinance into my fixed rate. But for now, I'm going to take the 3/4 lower interest rate on the 7-1 and go there.
I mean, I agree with his mentality. I mean, this is how kind of warped it is. I had an older couple. This is years ago, and at that time, the rates, I'll butcher it, but let's say the rates were at 6.5, and a 5-year arm was at like 5. I mean, it was a big gap. You know, it's like a 1.5 difference. They were moving to Florida in 5 years. For sure. I mean, that was locked in stone. There's no way in the world they're staying in that house more than 5 years. And so I'm like, well, you know, do a 5-1 arm. It's perfect. You know, you pay all this extra money out. It saves you all this money. Came to closing with a 30-year fixed.
30-year fixed.
Just could not do it.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to, first segment here, also do a real estate update to give you an idea. What are the inventory levels here in the Twin Cities? So new listings, new MLS listings, homes for sale, down 13% year over year. There were 1,366 new properties that came on the market. Pending sales also down 13%, 1,178 pending sales. And then the overall inventory down almost 14% year over year, 4,839. And Scott, I did see just kind of some interesting news articles that came out this week that was talking about some of the online searching on Google. And the article references that Google searches essentially for homes for sale, that those keywords dropped by double digits this year compared to last year in a number of cities around the U.S. Baltimore, Boston, San Francisco, Los Angeles, tours of houses for sale on the West Coast, California, down 21%. So are the rising rates causing some people in parts of the country to pull back a little?
I think it's a combination of, I mean, that definitely is going to have an impact. I think it's also frustration. I think people have been in this market for 2 years. They've tried to buy houses. They can't buy houses, and they finally have just kind of given up on it. I mean, I was telling the guys off air that it was, I think, 2 weeks ago when you were going through the statistics of all the offers that were accepted, and there were 0 FHA offers, and that's an FHA, for people that don't know it, it's kind of an entry-level loan product. It's 3.5% down, which most first-time home buyers use. And it's a great loan. It's a way for them to get in with limited amounts of money. In this market, if you're an FHA buyer, you can't buy a house.
Very hard.
Very hard, unless you're getting out, into some of the
Or non-MLS.
or non-MLS, where you control it and you're not competing. But
Pre-MLS.
But in a competing market, when there's 30 offers on the table, the FHA unfortunately gets thrown out.
Yeah, we are up against our first break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We appreciate you joining us. Don't hesitate to text us. Call us, 612-294-6949. Big thanks as well today, Max from KFan, kind enough to come in, produce the show for us. So we're grateful for Max and his time. He runs the show over there at KFan, so we're happy to have him with us today. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us on Facebook Live here today, Minnesota Real Estate Show. A lot to talk about. Corey, it's tax season there, friend.
It is exciting times, eh?
What do you think about this? I mean, just Brad, Corey, as you guys listen to the market, what are you guys hearing in talking to friends, neighbors, family when they talk about the market? I mean, we're kind of in it every day. What are you guys hearing?
So again, we were talking before the show. We have 3 team members that are 24, 25 years old, and they're basically saying we can't buy a house. We can't afford to buy a house. The math just isn't working in their mind right now. So they're renting homes. And, I was talking to Scott, like, I'm I'm concerned, about, Adam has been very pointed too on here about the, what's coming, but I think the housing thing is going to be a concern here at some point, whether, with rising interest rates, rising prices. I mean, I did some prep stuff in here and you guys can, counter argue, but from 7-8 months ago, when rates were 2.75, the median sales price in the Twin Cities that I looked up was 332. Now, and I did 5%, but you said 5 and 1/4. That's a 32% increase of cost of ownership in monthly cash flow. And then you tag on the 15% increase in property taxes that's kicking in next year that we haven't even accounted for yet because it doesn't happen for another year. It's what is it? 36% increase. That's assuming that the house didn't appreciate in the last year. That's just using the.
Well, but thankfully gas is lower.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
And groceries.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's saving us. See, that's a positive spin, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We're using our own oil, I think, again now, right? Or
Right.
some of it.
Brad, thoughts?
I have a couple friends that are looking for houses, and they've put in multiple offers on multiple houses. And now with rates going higher, they're just like, should we just pause? Should we just stop and not buy a house? Which I think we're seeing around the US and around Minnesota quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. The thing that I always go back to is, so your other option is to rent. I mean, my God, rents are way more expensive than buying a house. So it's like when you're, like I've got a lot of young couples right now that, are frustrated. But when you look at it and you say, okay, look, if you buy something for $400,000, your payment's less than it is if you rent a little, 2-bedroom apartment. A little 2-bedroom apartment in Apple Valley is $2,500.
Right.
I did some pre-work too, which you guys can argue also, but I got the net worth nationally, the average for homeowners and for renters. The numbers just astounded me.
Oh,
Absolutely
sure.
astounded me.
Yeah.
I know those numbers.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
going back live on
crazy.
air.
Yeah.
Here. Thanks for joining us on social media, wherever you might be seeing us. Don't hesitate to comment with any questions at all that you have. Here we go. We're going live on air. Welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. 612-294-6949. We've got a full studio today. We always welcome your questions, comments, and thoughts. 612-294-6949. Had another text message question. Seems like more of a comment coming in from Kim. Kim says she is an FHA buyer who worked with someone on the team and found a pre-MLS listing, got the offer accepted. Thank you, guys. That's nice. That's encouraging.
Yeah, and that is exactly what you should be. If you're an FHA buyer or a minimum down conventional buyer, that is what your agent should be doing. They should be looking at alternative ways to get you a house, because you'll drive yourself nuts just competing. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I got 2 FHA buyers right now accepted offers, both non-MLS.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that again, so your agent, that's partly your agent's job. As we've talked about over the years, not all agents are created equal, but your agent should be very proactive in looking for that inventory, finding that inventory, sending out letters to neighborhoods, door knocking, networking with all the other agents at the brokerage to find these non-MLS listings. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of them, a lot of those listings that are not on the MLS.
Well, think about it. There's a gentleman that does the guaranteed sale, which we all know, and there's a percentage of people that actually go for that garbage. I mean, even though you're getting raked across the coals and not getting what your home is worth. So think about that when you can actually get what your home is worth and still have the ease of sale. No, not a bunch of people not walking through your house. You're not on the market for a period of time. It's just done. That is appealing. And they're out there, and your agent should, like Ryan said, your agent should be exhausting all avenues, and that's the way to get it done.
We're going to transition here to our friend and just a wonderful guy by the name of Corey Schmiedeberg. And again, Corey Schmiedeberg is a financial services specialist, accredited investment fiduciary, and the vice president of Midwest Money Management, located at 17316 Kenyon Avenue in Lakeville, Minnesota. Securities offered through Parkland Securities LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Fee-based investment advisory services offered through Sigma Planning Corporation, a registered investment advisor. Midwest Money Management is independent of Parkland Securities LLC and SPC. Good morning, Corey. Nice to hear from you, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And the joke is now the segment's over.
Yeah, we're done. That's all you got, bud. We've got your required governmental disclosures, but so thanks for coming on the show.
How come I don't get an introduction like that?
I
Brian?
know.
Come on.
I'm surprised the
Come
mortgage
on.
world doesn't have as deep of a discussion or deep of a required disclosure.
They're just way more honest people, I guess.
Yeah. Corey, what do you got for us here today? It is tax season.
Yeah, I do have a question about the non-MLS, and you were talking about the agents going to work for you. So I found it interesting. I had a phone call the other day, just this week, and it was a number I didn't know was a local number. And it was a voicemail from a real estate agent. And he said, "Hey, I'm so-and-so. I just sold 2 houses in your neighborhood, blah, 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 blah." And I thought, okay, this is just some, list calling, whatever. But I actually went out to the MLS and I looked, and he did sell 2 houses in my neighborhood. And he was on the phone calling people saying, "Hey, I've got buyers.
Right.
Are you looking to sell your house?"
Yeah.
So I just thought it was interesting that they're actually making those calls to people in those neighborhoods directly.
Did
So-
you? Yeah, it is. There's a lot of that type of thing happening. I just got one here the other day too,
Yeah.
from a fellow agent, young man doing a very nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about last year. We talked about it all the time. So our inventory was the lowest it's ever been, and our units were up 30% or 25% or something like that.
Right.
So how in the world can you have the lowest inventory you've ever had in the history of the planet
But closing.
and actually have more closings occur? And that's because of that. I mean, there's a lot of off-market stuff going on.
Yeah.
Corey, help us look at the big picture. Again, you are Midwest Money Management is an awesome financial planning, everything money related type of company. Big picture, a lot going on. Interest rates, inflation, housing market. What put on your wise hat and share your deep knowledge with us.
Yeah, so I'm
No
going to
pressure.
focus. Yeah, I'll just focus on taxes today because this year is significantly different than the last 2 years. So if you go back to 2019, 2020, when COVID, the pandemic hit, I don't know if everybody remembers, but tax deadlines were extended, required minimum distributions were not due. There was all kinds of special one-off things. Last year, tax deadline was extended into May. This year, tax deadline is not April 15th, it's April 18th because Friday is Good Friday and the markets are closed. So you have
Oh.
one more week to get your taxes done without filing an extension. One interesting thing as it relates to your business, home selling. So I don't know if everybody knows, but you've got to be in your home for 2 years to avoid capital gains, right? On the appreciation of your house. Well, because of COVID, there's a rule right now that if you say bought your house last year and you were not in it for 2 years and you sold it, and we all know that the appreciation has been astronomical over the last couple of years, you get an exclusion. There's an exclusion if you had to move due to COVID. So if you lost your job, you changed school districts because the schools were not having in person. There's a whole list of qualifiers, but this is, I just found this out because it actually was applicable to us. But if you moved, you get a pro rata reduction
Huh.
for the number of months that you were in your house.
I didn't
So
know that.
yeah, so if you did move, your tax preparer should know this, but the people that do their own taxes, the TurboTax people, things like that, I don't know how robust those programs are. They probably do have a question of, did you move last year? When did you buy? All those things, but just keep that in mind because that could be a significant tax savings for people.
Mike is nodding his head big time over there.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, that can be big dollars right there. Because again, like Corey said, I mean, the appreciation over the last couple of years have been pretty crazy. I mean, that can turn into some real money right there.
Yeah, so talk to your tax preparer if that's applicable to you, and make sure that that one's taken care of. Otherwise, it's all the run of the mill same stuff. Required minimum distributions, we're back on. All your IRA, Roth IRA contributions have to be done prior to Monday, the 18th. Depending on who your custodian is, they may have deadlines that you have to have it done prior to that date for processing, and depending on how you're funding things. The other big one that a lot of people don't take full advantage of are health savings accounts. It's probably the most tax-friendly account that a person can use. If you have a high deductible health plan, which a lot of people do these days, you can get a full deduction on the money that you put into the account. It grows tax deferred, and it's completely tax free when you take it back out. So unlike a Roth IRA where you don't get a deduction, grows tax deferred, and is tax free, you get the tax benefits on both sides. And then if you don't use the dollars, you don't lose them, and you can use them for future healthcare costs as well. So it's a really powerful tool for people that utilize that.
We were talking a little bit during the break about kind of overall big picture, and you said, what are your thoughts? I guess where things are going with the economy, housing market, interest rates. Any thoughts to share?
Yeah, cautious, I guess, would be the term that I would use. I'm concerned. I know our firm is concerned. That's why we manage assets the way that we do. I shared off or on Facebook off air here, I just did some napkin math in preparation. By the time we factor in the property tax increases for next year, which we haven't really talked about, but that's another big bomb. I think that people they're just getting notified about it now, but it won't actually hit their pocketbook until next year. We've seen 15 to 20, 25% increases in the metro area in property tax valuations of their homes, and that'll translate into increased taxes. And if they're in escrow, it's going to require additional. They're going to get the letter in the mail saying, "Hey, you need to pump more money into your escrow account." And it could be a few $100s, and it could be several $1,000s. And then the monthly payment's going to go up, so that's just another thing that's coming down the pike here.
Yeah, it is interesting. How will they talk all about the Fed raising interest rates? How does that impact things, Corey? Before the break, just all the talks of Fed raising interest rates.
Yeah, so Fed raising the rates, and I'll tie it to homes here because it's specific to this. So Fed raising interest rates doesn't have a direct correlation to mortgage rates. But if they continue to raise rates, and this is where I'm torn on the what did we call it? It's not an ARM anymore. It's a
Hybrid fixed.
Hybrid fixed is one of two things has to happen. It all comes down to affordability. So if interest rates continue to rise, if the Fed raises rates and that has a trickle down effect into increased rates, then sale prices of houses has to stop or come down. The flip side of it is interest rates drop and the housing prices can sustain. You can't have them both because nobody will be able to afford a house here at some point. So I don't know what will happen, but my concern is that we get to a point where interest rates don't drop and housing prices actually come back down. So if that scenario plays out, doing your refinance may not work because two things: the rate might be higher and the housing price that you paid for may be lower than what you were expecting. So that is one potential way that it could play out.
We're at the halfway point already here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We've been talking to Corey Schmiederberg. Best way for people to reach out to you, Corey?
Yeah, you can go to our website. It's midwestmoneymanagement.com, or you can call our office at 651-204-3000.
Nice work. We like the mustache too. We're getting some comments on social media.
It's for my kids. We were on spring break. They said, "Dad, grow a mustache." We were out in cowboy country, Tucson, and they want it to curl up. So
Yes.
that's what I'm working on here.
Hey, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us on social media. We appreciate it. I hope the weekend's going well.
Yellowstone's changing your mind
Yeah.
too.
And it is interesting. It's interesting right now. Again, as agents, buyers out there, Scott, we're feeling that demand, that buyer demand. It is still a very, there is a ton of demand right now.
There is, and I was just listening to what Corey was talking about, and it something popped in my mind that probably haven't, Mike, you probably haven't done one of these forever, but 3-2-1 buy downs. I mean,
We
back in
literally
the,
just brought it up the other day. Start talking about it. How it might come back here.
I mean, and for those that don't know, back in the day when interest rates, when I got in '98, I think they were at 8-ish, something like that. And a 3-2-1 buy down buys the rate down 3 points for the first year, 2 points for the second, 1 year. So if you're at a 6% interest rate, you're only at 3% for your first year. You're only at 4% for the second year. And, and it was a similar kind of market like this where, it was starting to get unaffordable. So how do people afford houses in the short term? And it's a little bit of prospect because you're hoping obviously that rates drop back down and you can, get out of it. But it does make it affordable. I bet you're going to start to see some of those.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. You got to pay for it. Someone's got to pay for that up front.
Yeah.
Really what you're doing is you're taking the payment difference over the first 12 months, and then you got to pay that, and you're taking payment difference over the next 12 months and paying that. And so we'll probably see it come in like new construction. I'm guessing builders are probably going to offer that as an incentive
Sure.
and stuff like that, just so people can afford their houses and get more buyers coming in there, things like that. With sellers not paying closing costs, traditional sellers not paying closing costs, probably not going to see it on that end. Why would a buyer pay all that money now up front just to get a lower payment when it works the same at the end after 3 years?
Yeah.
So I think it'll be situational as to we'll see it coming back, but I think we'll see more of it.
Yeah. We have to hit a wall. I mean, you have to get back to where
Don't hit a wall.
where sellers are paying closing costs again because the market slowed down. In this market, obviously, you're not going to ever see it.
Looking at the numbers, right now it looks like early March. So March 5th right now was the historical low of inventory, MLS listed inventory. We're a little bit higher, not much, but we are a little bit higher. But right now that March 5th date looks like the historical low. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now where finally we're getting some sunshine and some warmth and people looking at selling their houses or wanting to put their homes on the market. It is, again, I'm a big believer that with spring, summer, similar to last year, Scott, we're going to start seeing more inventory.
Yeah. I mean, I disagree. I don't think we're going to. I was talking with
That's good. We have a little.
and the only reason that I do is, in a balanced market, 1,300 new listings in a week.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of listings, that are coming on. So, that would normally put us at 19,000 homes if that was consistent. And I think this week we had 1,304. So that's a lot of new listings coming on. But then you had, I think, 1,287 pendings. So they're just gone. I mean, so and until something loosens up to where enough buyers get out of it. I mean, I just put a 2-story on that had 1,175 saved searches.
Sure.
I mean, that there's 1,175 buyers that were looking at that home meeting their criteria. Those are, I've never seen numbers like that. So,
I think my point is that the number of new listings is going to increase. So the demand,
weekly.
Yeah. So in other words, the number of the potential opportunities will increase. The absorption will continue.
Yeah.
But
I agree with that.
With the increase of rates here so drastically, let's say you bought a house or refinanced and you're sitting at 2.75, it's pretty hard to sell your house and turn around and go, unless I'm going to be all cash, but then you're saying, well, I'm buying at the peak, or if I'm going to get a mortgage or something, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Here we go. We're going back live on air. Twin Cities News Talk AM 1130. It's the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us on social media, wherever you might be seeing us. We appreciate it. Hey, welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. 612-294-6949. I've had a number of phone lines ringing today. You're always welcome to call in, offer your thoughts about the market, market conditions. And again, if you are looking to buy a house, looking to sell, you have any questions at all, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. mnrealestateshow.com is how you can find us and get a hold of us. We've got a great discussion today in studio. We were talking with Corey Schmiedeberg with Midwest Money Management, all things taxes related, talking again, of course, Mike Overson, Scott Wolmering, as well about the market. And before we dive in to our insurance segment, I did want to give just a quick shout out, Scott. Steve McDonald has a new listing in Coon Rapids, 11843 Silver Rod Street Northwest. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage home. It's on a cul-de-sac and it backs up to a park. The bathrooms have been recently updated, new carpet throughout, freshly painted. This is brand new on the market, 11843 Silver Rod Street. And then also just a shout out, the Spring Remodeler Showcase is going on. So if you're thinking about remodeling your home, making some changes, edits, updates, Steve's company, White Birch Design, is there. He's at R4 in Eagan. And Steve said he's featuring their kitchen remodel. The home is located just east of Pilot Knob and Cliff Road. They can pick up preview books at Holiday for more information. Again, it's R9 in Eagan, and the price of that property is $300,000. By the way, the Silver Rod one, $300K, Scott.
Good number.
Good number. Waiting so patiently as we talk about the market is our friend Brad Sanford with Farmers Insurance. Insurance is a critical, very important piece of the puzzle in the real estate market. Thanks for coming on, as always, bud.
Absolutely. And you're right. Insurance is exciting. It really is.
Yes.
I saw all of you on the edge of your seats.
A lot going on in your world, though. Tell us what's new. What's new with you and with Farmers?
Well, I did a little bit of research, and did you guys know that between 2010 and 2020, we added 6.3 million new homeowners households in the U.S.?
No.
6.3 million.
6.3 million. And the biggest asset in most people's portfolio is their home, right? And so over that same time period, we added 8.2 trillion in additional wealth. And so one of the things that I was talking to someone the other day that's moving from San Francisco, and I was talking to Scott about this offline. They have people applying to rent in San Francisco, and they make $20,000 a month, and they're renting. They're not buying. Can you imagine that market as opposed to this market?
Yeah.
And so going along with that, since we have all the big brains in the room, what is the national average of someone's net worth if they own a home?
National average of net worth. What do you think?
This is kind of like the movie Speed, where Dennis Hopper says, "Hot shot." It's a pop quiz. This is what that is.
Right.
I would say so. National average, if you own a home, of their net wealth, I would say it's probably $500,000.
The national average is 255,000
Okay.
as of 2020.
Okay.
And then the renter's net worth, and this just stresses the importance
30.
of owning a home.
30,000.
Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, 18 times less than that, whatever that number is.
As of this year, it is 40 times less. It's
Oh,
$4,300 for a net worth.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
Wow.
And so having a relationship with your insurance agent is paramount, right? Because it's protecting that big asset that you guys have. That in the middle income area, it's 49% of your net worth.
Are you seeing, Brad, a lot of rate increase as well? Property tax increase with the annuals that are coming out with all the insurance companies? Is the word on the street, hey, rates are rising?
Yeah. And you know what? We got to cover what it costs to rebuild the home. And there was a survey put out by the U.S. Property Insurance that they said that builders are saying that lumber, appliances, trusses, all that stuff is increasing so exponentially that in turn, if we need to rebuild your house because of a peril, right? I mean, we've got to increase how much your house is worth and cover that.
Mm.
because we got to take care of everybody, right? I've got to take care of Mike and the mortgage. I got to cover his mortgage. I got to take care of you guys when they want to resell, right? The value in that home has to be there. And so I got to cover all of that. And then I also, for the homeowner, I got to make sure that they're holding on to that equity that they have in their home.
Thoughts or tips or strategies for people in this market from an insurance standpoint?
I think the best thing you can do is get to know your insurance agent better and just understand what we are insuring your home for, right? Because there's all different categories that you have for your personal property, loss of use, and then the dwelling, right, itself. So understand what you are insuring your dwelling for and make sure that's the right number. And this goes back to what I told you guys before, right? Do you look at insurance as an expense or do you look at it as a way to protect your assets? And you've got to start looking at it as a way to protect your assets because it's 49% of your net worth.
I mean, I would think one of the most underinsured parts of insurance would be the replacement cost for the house. I mean, I can't imagine that everybody has been on top of that, because you're talking about a 30% increase at least in building costs over the last 2 years. So that means you have to call your insurance agent and say, okay, my house is insured at 400 grand. I need to have it insured at 625. And you know what that's going to do? It's going to cost you more monthly. And a lot of people just aren't going to do that until their house burns down and they find out that they can't build what they had.
And then it's too late.
Then it's too late.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
So is it, though, if I'm a homeowner, is it something that automatically is done by farmers? So I don't have to go out and say, well, geez, do I have enough insurance? Is there something done that protects the homeowner so they don't have to do this analysis every year?
Yeah, we make sure that we keep the value of the home and the insurance that we have, the dwelling insurance, we keep that up with the appreciation of your area, your neighborhood, your market.
Okay.
So it does go up with that, but like you guys are talking about, that maybe interest rates go back down and maybe house prices come back down. You want to have a good relationship with your insurance agent so we can bring that value back down to what it was also supposed to be. Because I mean, we all believe this is a little bubble, right? That is increasing the value of the home. And so when it goes back down a little bit, we'll need to make sure that we bring that coverage back down to cover what it would be. So you're not over insuring also, right? Which is.
Yeah, it's hard. What I would say too, again, if you hear this and maybe you are renting right now and you think, well, yeah, geez, of course you're going to have a ton more wealth if you buy a home. How can I buy a home? I'm never going to be able to do it. I don't have the credit or I don't have the income or whatever it is. And I think part of it, as we talk about it on the show, is just giving yourself a little grace and having a little hope and realizing it's not impossible. Again, that sure, you do need to save some money. You do need to get your credit in a good spot. But Scott, people can do it. I mean, that's the thing. Part of it is we've seen a lot of really young, impressive, motivated people, a few years out of college, wherever it might be, or a few years, starting work out of high school that are buying homes. They're just taking the time to learn, kind of like you're saying. They're taking time to look at their insurance. Half of it is just, are you gonna make an effort?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, there's so many avenues out there right now to help everybody. I mean, Credit Life, who's a partner on the show, can really do wonders to get your credit score up. A lot of times, what happens as things go south a little bit is you tend to put your head in the sand instead of getting proactive. And so, if I was to give any suggestion, if you do have issues with your credit, just make the call. Call Credit Life, say, look, this is what's going on. You'll be surprised at what they can do to get you back on track in a relatively short time. One of the guys that sticks out in my mind, Mike, probably don't remember, but it was a client of mine named Chris. I won't say his last name, but he had like a 480 credit score. And within 6 months, he was at 640 and was able to buy a house, he would have never thought in a zillion years he would be able to buy a house.
Right.
I remember one of the very first clients that I worked with Credit Life on, he called me up. He called me first before Credit Life, and he said, I know I can't get a loan right now, but I just need to know how I get started. And he told me, for the last 15 months, I haven't paid a bill. Any of the bills that I got in the mail, I stuck them in a shoebox. And I have every single one. So he literally came into my office with a shoebox of bills that he just hadn't paid. He's like, here's everything. He's like, what do I do? Well, let's pull credit. Let's see what's on there. And we're going to get in touch with Credit Life. We're going to put a plan together, work with them. And, I think it was 12 or 14 months later, we had him in position so that he could actually get approved for a home loan.
Yeah, we're up against the 3-quarter break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're going to finish our discussion with Brad Sanford from Farmers Insurance. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Throughout the week, 612-294-6949. Questions, comments, thoughts. You're looking to buy a home, sell a home. Please don't hesitate to reach out to the Minnesota Real Estate Team. We are here for you. We'll be back after the break. A lot of comments coming in on the various social media platforms too. Some of your comments we can see. We actually use a program called Restream, which in some cases shows your name on the comment. In some times it does not. I think it depends if you have the Restream app. So in any event, a lot of good comments, a lot of good morning, a great show as usual. Rates are still low compared over the last 20 years on average. We're still lower. Very true indeed. Brad, a lot of good stuff, a lot of good thoughts, but getting to know your insurance agent.
Yeah, absolutely. And how does an insurance company, how do they break into the market? It's either a first-time home buyer or they lower their rates significantly, right? And they'll do that temporarily to take people away from other insurance companies. And that's why I say if you have a relationship with your insurance agent, you know you're insured, you know your property's insured for the right amount, then it is what it is, right? And because what's going to happen is they're just going to gradually raise the rate back up to what the market is. So having a good relationship is your best bet for ensuring the best asset that you guys have.
I've seen a lot of issues recently where home buyers over the last 6 months bought a house without a home inspector or with a very kind of part-time home inspector. Maybe it's your uncle or your friend or your neighbor. And then getting into the home in a month or two later, uncovering problems. That's going to be an issue as we go forward. I mean, just this past week, I think I got 2 or 3 calls from situations like that.
Sure. Yeah. When you're waiving your home inspection, which unfortunately is what you have to do in this market to get into a house, there's going to be stuff that comes up. And like we've talked about on the show before, I think arbitration is going to go through the roof, because buyers move in, they find all these issues. The first thought is, well, the sellers knew that, they just didn't disclose it. And reality is the sellers didn't
Here we
know
go,
it.
guys.
But there's going to be a lot of that.
Oh, sorry, not yet.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was us.
That's the same thing with real estate agent though, too, right? It's like, there's a difference between price and cost in everything, right?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I can use my buddy's mom, or my uncle, but how hard are they actually going to work for you?
Right.
So you save 2% on a $400,000 house, that's nothing compared to what you're buying.
Well, and it's there's a lot of, whenever there's a market like this, there's always discount brokers that are out there, and I won't name the names, but you've heard it will sell your house for $5,000, which of course they're not. They still have to pay a buyer's agent out, and it's a bunch of garbage. But nonetheless, what you have to ask yourself is if there's a difference between 1%. So hiring Ryan O'Neill or hiring any excellent agent. What you're saying is, if my house is $400,000, that I believe this other company can get $4,000 more for my house than Ryan can, and that's not going to happen. So it's like you need to look at the net of what you're walking away with and get away from the percentage.
Right. Here we go. Going back live on air. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope your April 9th is going well. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for tuning in every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Catch the podcast, too, ever on iHeart or Spotify, mnrealestateshow.com. We're talking to Brad Sanford, Farmers Insurance. A lot of important stuff, as always, Brad. Sort of last thoughts for folks with you, your company, what you're doing, and kind of how you're helping buyers and clients in this market.
So I'm just making sure that their house, if they have maybe the house that they're buying has losses beforehand, we'll see that and we can give them that information so that they can be aware of that. And as you pointed out, an inspection is a big thing for that. So making sure that we have them covered for that and going through the little things that that people may not go through, like what do you want for your personal property coverage? Because most insurance policies, they default to a percentage, right? And that may be $500,000 in personal property, which you may not have. So why pay for that when you don't need it, right? So you can adjust those numbers down and helping them understand their insurance. You know, a lot of times you just say, hey, get insurance, and, you know, they get it and it's set, but they don't know what it is. And I think making them understand what the insurance is, helping them make a good decision, I think is the biggest thing that an insurance agent can do.
Franklin texted in saying I had water in my basement this week, pretty bad. He said, will my insurance cover that?
That is dependent upon his insurance company, but if it seeps in, no, there's no coverage for water seeping in. If it's a broken pipe or an appliance, yes, more than likely it'll be covered.
So if it seeps in,
Yeah.
no coverage.
No, so like if you've got, that's why we always say you got to maintain your house also, right? So if your gutters are not pointing the water away from the house and the water eventually seeps into the house, that's not covered by any insurance policy.
Yeah, no one's covering basements in Minnesota for
Yeah.
water intrusion.
Right.
Yeah.
Corey, you got any water in your basement?
No.
Do you want water in your basement?
Yeah.
Make it a pool?
Yeah, we had Steve Grown on. He does an awesome job with Standard. And I talked to him this week, and he said this past week alone, he's now booked out through like July or August with the incredible amounts of rain that we've had, Mike.
Yeah, it's well, that's what Minnesota's known for, right? That's kind of our calling card. Hey, question for you guys. So I was kind of thinking about this whole thing here, our inventory levels. You know, before COVID, let's say, you know, we always had home sales going on because of job changes, right? So I'm here, I'm working in Minnesota, and I'm going to get a new job in Oklahoma. So you got to move, and you move to Oklahoma, right? Well, COVID changed a lot of that. And now it's like, hey, this company in Oklahoma is hiring, and I can work from my house. So I can just stay in Minnesota and work here. So how much do you think that's affecting inventory levels? Because if you refinance at 275, and now that you're not limited on jobs because a lot of them will allow you to work remotely, there's probably a lot of people planted now, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we've talked about it, that's exactly right. There's all kinds of factors that are playing into why there's so limited inventory. The huge refinance boom obviously took a percentage out. That's now at 2.5%. They're not moving.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, COVID, the ability to work and not be transferred out. New construction not being able to build nearly the volume they did because they can't get people to do it. So you throw all those things into the hopper, and that creates what we've got.
Yeah, it is. That's Mike. It's a really interesting point you brought up with working remotely and you know, people wanting that and having trouble finding labor, finding the. So I mean, I think it seems like now, you know, the workforce, we have the leverage more so over the employer. You know, it seems like that's flip-flopped a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, now it's so that could in fact be one of the big reasons, Mike, one of the big things happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it in terms of traffic on the highway being like the housing market. You know, like I moved downtown, you know, after we sold our house, I moved downtown. Well, before at 5 o'clock, I mean, my God, you're stuck for an hour. Now you just whip right downtown, whip right out. There's nobody on the roads because people are at home. It's like this. It's kind of like the housing market's the same thing.
People are not leaving their
They're
homes.
not leaving their homes.
They're not even leaving their TVs like Scott Wolmering watching the Masters. Brad, before I forget it, best way for people to connect with you and your awesome team.
My listing at the minnesotarealestateshow.com, and they can also call me at 651-690-2076.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. You work with a lot of different agents, brokers, customers in the Twin Cities. We're really happy to have you a partner on the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and you are a golfer too. You said every Friday you golf.
That's right. With the wife, I golf every Friday.
Oh my gosh, we got a lot of golfers. Corey's even a golfer.
A little bit. Try to a little bit. Just don't have time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that follows in my bucket too. But we're on the home stretch here, the last few minutes of the show. There's been a lot of predictions out there. A lot of people are analyzing. You know, last night on the 10 o'clock news, the lead-in was, you know, a big bank came out this week. Deutsche Bank said we're heading to a recession. and it's, it's just interesting when you look online and get all the different viewpoints. You find one person that's saying the world's ending. And then the next person says, it's a great buy, time to buy stocks. And the other one said, it's a horrible. I mean, who do you trust? What do you believe, guys? I mean, that's the hard thing about this.
Well, you believe the Minnesota Real Estate Show. You tune in here for absolute truth.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just, it's like, what do you know? Like with the economy, housing, that type of thing.
I think I think there's definitely money to be made when you run towards something that everyone else is running away from, right? There's some sort of strategy, there's some sort of, knowledge to that. So who knows? We'll see. It'll be interesting how it plays out.
Well, I saw a quote. I can't remember who said it, but he said, "Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and then wait."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so. We ran into this back in 2008 when the market had crashed, and everybody was like, "It's the worst market in the world," and I'm like, "Depends on what side you're on. It is the best time ever to buy a house. So if you're liquid, buy everything you can get your hands on."
Yeah.
But even some of the bigger investors I had, they were still cautious. Like I've told the story before, but I sold 10 townhomes for $45,000 that were new construction at $200,000, and then they went to $55,000, and my investors were like, "Oh, I don't want to pay $55,000." I'm like, "What are you, crazy?" I'm like, "Buy every single one of those things." Now they're all $230. So there's always caution in every market where am I buying at the top? Is this the top? Is it going to crash? Is it, this? Ryan, bought a ton of investment real estate in 2004 and 2005. Probably the worst time you could buy it, but he's not selling it. And so, they all cash flow. They're all come back. They're great.
Yeah.
You guys sound like Warren Buffett here with your be greedy when others are fearful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Corey, it is though. I think with your working with a firm, again, I can't stress it enough, with Corey, Adam, and their team, it's super important. Again, you don't have to have a ton of money. You don't have to have everything all lined up, but having some really smart people in your corner to help advise you on things is important, Corey.
Yeah, and we talk about that all the time. There are things you can control and things you can't control. So we can't control the market. So we, if it goes up, if it goes down, but what we can control is how we react. And that's how our investment strategy is. We can, right now, tax time, we can control whether we put money into pre-tax accounts or post-tax accounts. We can control whether we take full advantage of a health savings account. We can control those sorts of things that have an actual impact. So
great show, guys. Mike, last thoughts for folks we head to the home stretch?
Still a good time to buy.
Yeah.
The question is not, don't compare now to a year ago, because we all don't have a hot tub time machine where we can go back and buy a house a year ago or 2 years ago. You can either buy a house today or you can wait until next year. I truly think it's going to cost you more to buy next year. So if you have the opportunity, definitely buy now.
That's right.
Yeah, great job, Corey. Great job, buddy.
thanks. Oh, and shout out to Steve McDonald and White Birch. Full disclosure, they have our house completely destroyed right now, putting in a new kitchen. So
Really?
we're really excited. Yeah, great team.
Awesome, Corey. Brad, great job, bud.
Thanks. And now, you know what? We got to take Scott's advice. I think we all have to just stay at home and listen to the Minnesota Real Estate Show and just stream the podcast all day.
That's right. That's right. I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah, great job, Scott. You ready for head back home?
I am ready to watch the Masters. Go Tiger.
Thanks again to Max from KFan coming in to help us. We're grateful for him and his time and efforts this weekend. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. mnrealestateshow.com. Take care. Thanks for tuning in on social media. We appreciate it. A lot of great comments. Moo, you commented a lot of nice comments. Thanks for tuning in. Rashawn, thank you as well. We'll be back next Saturday again for the show. If you ever have any topics or you want us to hit, we can definitely do that. And nice job, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks.
Nice work. We'll be back next Saturday. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.